Okay. Hmm. Oh God, companies are still making flip phones? Oh no. It's the screen flip phones too. Hey chat, you don't want to know what the biggest problem with a screen flip phone is? Blah. Screen flip phone. Foam. Flip foam. Yes, Impy. The line across the middle. Yep, there you go, Impy. Impy knows exactly what I'm talking about. There is a prone habit of after a certain number of folds, the screen basically just breaks. Do tell, Samsung Flip. Yep, the Samsung Flip is a good example. Other companies have been making their own for quite a while. Um, but they all have the same issue that after a certain number of folds, which people say, I think it was the average was something like a few thousand, I think like 10,000 or something, which doesn't sound like a lot. But also think about how often somebody may be opening and closing, and depending on like how hard you close it, how hard you open it up, all this other stuff will change depending. That's basically just from their testing of having a machine do the exact same motion over and over, and 10,000 times was basically the rough estimate of how many it would take to simply have two distinct screens that merely fit together seamlessly when it's opened. True. True. Does anybody remember when the thing with some phones, I say holding my phone up like you can see it? Does anybody remember the phones that had screens that kind of extended around the side? Anybody remember those? They were a thing for a couple years, I think. I think for a couple years they were a thing where they kind of like wrapped around the left and right side. That was the thing for a couple phones. Edge phones, kind of. I don't know if that's what they were called, but they would basically curve around the side of the phone a little bit. And sometimes there would be like buttons or stuff, touch buttons hidden on those sides. But in this case, most of those edges broke. Like they would break pretty quick. So you needed a pop socket or you could instantly be touching the screen and messing up. Yes, exactly. Exactly. You would either have to hold it from the back somehow or your fingers would already be on the screen. If you like typically hold your phone kind of in the palm of your hand with your fingers, like I do, I'm holding it in my right hand right now, thumb on the right side, my other fingers on the left, then I'd already be on the screen. 10K times opening seems a lot. So you remember you have to open and close it, then that's 10K becomes 5K. Exactly. And then there's no telling how many times you do it a day. You may do it, you may undo it, blah, 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 blah. Galaxy S23 Ultra has a built-in IR TV remote. Was making that old feature to make a return. Really? Pinky at the bottom, then cradle it, because if I held my phone like I held my PlayStation 4 controller, I would have crushed it years ago. How can you hold a phone like a controller? I don't understand. I don't understand. Can you explain? Hmm. Hold on a second. Put you away. Aww. Another one of those little, like, running in a circle things. Those little running in a circle emotes. They're so fucking cute. All right. Hmm. Oh, here's somebody feeding Coco. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Hmm. There are finger wells on my PlayStation 4 controller where I gripped it. They weren't there when I bought it tightly. Carrie, how do you put finger grooves into a controller? What the actual fuck? Why would you be gripping a controller that hard? Says gripper. She means her fingers that are wrapped around your neck, lifting you off the ground. Yes. Yes. What else would it be? What else could it possibly be? Go on. I'll wait. Because I don't want to. Carrie, you don't need to death grip your controller. Like, you barely need to hold the controller, especially if you have it, like, sitting on the desk. Like, here. Like, I'm just barely holding my controller. Do I need to turn on the webcam? I'm gonna have to get off the webcam, aren't I? Pretty sure this camera's moved. Wrong direction. Hmm. No, I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna turn the webcam on. I don't feel like it today. Grippers, grippers, grippers. No. Absolutely not. Enjoy your lyric cake. Death grip does give me more confidence that I do hold it right. What? You don't need to death grip it though. Why would you be death gripping it? I was gonna say death gripping is just overkill, I guess. Oh, good lord. Okay. While playing my woodwind instrument, turns out I needed to bring them to the shop for a tune-up and fix the problem, but it's been a hard habit to break. Like, there's nothing you... The only thing... Oh my god, not the wheel of punishment. The only thing you need to death grip... Only thing you need to be death gripping is when you're working with, like, tools. Controllers and stuff, you don't need to death grip. Like, everything is pretty easy to hit buttons. It's not complicated. Complicated. Okay. I've depth. Why? You only need to push the shopping cart. Or hell, if you're standing in front of it, you only need to pull it. Why do y'all go around white knuckling things? Why are y'all white knuckling so many things? Why do you do this? But I don't know if I'm a real man unless I can crack a controller while raging at video games. Really, Fish? Really? How many am I the only person here that buys a controller with the console, and that is the controller I'm going to use for the entire life of that console? This PlayStation 4 controller has had more use than my PlayStation 4. Stick drift? Never been an issue. Not even on my Switch. Hasn't even been an issue on my Switch once. Nice. You don't play for it to happen enough? What? No, I don't keep my stuff pristine and don't death grip. My OG Wii remote still works. See? See? Listen, I know Switches have notorious stick drift. And apparently Nintendo did say they know how to fix it, but they're not going to do it for the current Switch console, which is funny, which is kind of funny to me. But I have issues with unresponsive buttons with a lot of Xbox controllers. Turns out I just swapped to the next controller when the one I'm using runs out of batteries. What? The only thing close to stick drift that I got was when I was a teenager, and I don't know if anybody remembers the old Razer Xbox 360 controllers. I don't remember what they were called. They had a specific name of some kind, but I don't remember what it was. I had one of those. They had like super clicky or really flat buttons. It had very little like move. It had extra programmable buttons, and had other buttons underneath the controller. I loved that controller. It was wired only, USB straight into the front of 360. My brother broke it one day by throwing it into the basket that we kept all of our 360 games in. And he just left it there. And it turned out one of the sticks was stuck to the side. And when I came to pick up that controller next time I wanted to play on the Xbox, it was stuck. It was stuck in that direction permanently. And trying to move it in any other direction basically made it sound like it was breaking. I was so pissed. That is the one time that, like, in rage, I punched somebody, and it was my brother. I punched him right across the face. Hmm. The heck? Justified? It probably wasn't intentional, but I think what pissed me off the most was when I got mad at him for doing it. He was like, whatever, dude, it's just a controller. And that controller was like $80 to my like 13 or 14-year-old brain, which was a lot of fucking money. A lot of fucking money. That was the one time that I was legitimately pissed off enough to just swing. And it's the only time that that has happened. It comes to mind. Yeah, that's the only time that that's come to mind. That is the only time. That's a lot of money. Yeah. It was a really nice controller. That was the same controller that I played Brink a whole lot with. Who remembers Brink? Anybody remember Brink? Yeah, my brother was a dick. My brother's still a dick. Not gonna lie, my brother's a dick. He's a massive douchebag. Okay. Okay. Bring like internet cert. Wait. No, not bring. Brink. Brink. The old Brink. Oh, so I meant to spin the wheel punishment. I had the tab open. I just hadn't hit it. Oh, please don't be a video. Please don't be a video. Please don't be a video. Oh, god damn it. It's a plank. I might as well give y'all a video. Damn it. It's the 1.5-minute plank. Was it the Sabertooth controller? Let me see. Maybe. Razor, Sabertooth. Actually, yeah, I think this was it. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. Wait, it's still on Amazon? Are there buying options on Amazon? Ah, currently unavailable. I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure they don't manufacture it anymore. But yeah, I'm pretty sure this was the controller. It felt really good compared to like the default 360 controller. All right. Because the last time I did, I shattered a guy's jaw. Oh no. I'm not allowed to punch people. It's not about not being allowed to punch people. You really shouldn't punch people. That was just the one time that I've ever just out of rage swung at somebody. I made contact, but I was a teenager. You know what you do when a teenager is when you punch somebody and you're not ready for the consequences of what you did? You run. That's what you do. You scatter. You pull a Ganon and scatter. And that's exactly what happened. It was a thwack. Uh-oh. Clumsy as fuck. I bought a brand new like $50, $60 controller and then I dropped it and it fucking exploded. What? The way it pushed my skin feels nice and holding it any other way gives me anxiety. What? Why, Carrie? Why? I don't get it. I don't get it. From the Deathwell siren that inevitably follows. Because when I'd fight with my siblings, my nickname was Runt. Because I have tactile issues. Oh my god, Carrie. Carrie. All right. Okay, do we want to pop over to the game first? And then I do the plank, or do we want to save the plank for like the next commercial break in 40 minutes or so? Oh, I just realized we've been listening to the same fucking Sabaton song this entire time. That song has been on repeat for like the past 20 minutes. I am sorry. I'm being very careful with my PS5 controller because it feels like it'll crack in half if I hold it like I want to and I'm scared. That's why you're not supposed to hold it like that, Carrie. Because they're dainty. You gotta hold them soft and gentle like Borger or Froge. You must hold them like Froge. They are Froge. Gentle like Froge. Oh my goodness. I'm on mobile. Didn't hear it. Didn't hear what? you go. Turn the music up a little more. I do not hold burger gently. Okay, hold on. Where's that? I know what I need to find. I know what I need. I know what I need. Where's that meme that's like gripping food with force? Where's the burger? I need the burger. Oh god, that is a garbage picture. Here it is. Please work. That didn't work. Oh god damn it, I hate when it does this. WebP! Disgusting. Disgusting. JPEG large? Are you kidding me? All files? What is it saving this thing as? Finally, a fucking JPEG. Was that so hard? There we go. There we have, here's Carrie eating her burger. There we go, 10 out of 10 gimmick account. Here's Carrie eating her burger. Is Val playing the First Ascendant? I may have found her. Is Val playing the First Ascendant? Let me see. I think there's been a bunch of people playing the First Ascendant. There's also a lot of people playing Once Human. Nah, it doesn't say Val's playing any games. Yes, unironically. What the fuck, Carrie? Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Going to eat the Big Mac in one bite. To squeeze the life out of the meal. Jesus Christ. I hate it here. I hate it here. This thing's going away back to the abyss and I'm deleting it out of my downloads. Be gone. Thank you. Goodbye. So long. Farewell. Okay. Okily dokily. Carrie would be like, I'm gripping my jorger. I layer boigers with fries and nuggies. Oh my god. Yeah, Rainbow in the Dark. I love Rainbow in the Dark. We play a lot of Dio around here, okay? It happens a lot. Okay. Oh, goodness. Hardtack made me jump, mainly because I was hiccuping at the same time. Oh, goodness. Ugh. Oh, shit. I have the hiccups. Fuck. I grew up listening to my parents' music as a 90s baby. Good. All right. Let me change the game. Persona 5 Royal. Okay. And we can go ahead and swing right on Niova. I will have to change the capture momentarily. Cease the music, and I will do the plank during the next commercial break. Don't let me forget. Don't let me forget. Oh, hey. Oh, I remember I have to turn up the volume for this game, too. Let me know if it's too loud or too quiet. All right. Y'all need to burr like a fucking starved fucking raccoon. No, the fuck I don't. In fact, I don't ever do it like that. All right. I don't remember exactly where we were. I think we had just... Load a game. Yes. Yes. I think we had just gotten out of Uncover Kamoshida's abuses. Okay, okay, okay. So I guess we're going... Oh, we haven't gone to sleep yet. Okay. Ah, we got a text. Thing on your phone with some red eyeball icon, right? Yeah. We ended up at that weird place when we used this nav app, right? I found it on my phone too. Oh, I don't even remember installing it. That's creepy. For real, what is this thing? I think it's being downloaded on its own somehow. It's dangerous to use something without knowing what it is. But with it, we can go to that weird place, right? Seems like it. Controller death grip for better control. Controller death grip for repressed abandonment issues. I don't have death grip on my controller. I'm holding it like it'll shatter under my grip. All right. Basically, it's going to depend on how we use it. But first, we got to find evidence for the beatings. Counting on you. All right, let's go. Don't go ditching school on me. Okay, good night. Maybe it's because of the metaverse. Not the metaverse. Fuck you, Mark Zuckerberg. Cat jam, cat jam, cat jam. New chat vibe to Persona music. Listen, Persona music is always a vibe. Go eat. We must eat. Carrie, go to eat. Go sleep right now. Right fucking now, Carrie. Oh, okay, we're back in the prison. My brain for a second was like, is this Catherine?
Welcome to the Velvet Room.
I love you so much, Igor.
I thought about resuming our previous conversation tonight.
Keep talking to me. Keep talking to me.
I have summoned you. What are your thoughts? Are you becoming accustomed to this place?
I woke up 4 hours ago. Go back to sleep. Yeah.
Ah, glad to hear it. It seems you have nerves of steel.
Spaghetti size? That's not that long. It's like a breadstick. It's just a breadstick. It's fine.
The goal
Olive Garden
of your
breadstick.
rehabilitation is to thwart the fated ruin. However, such a feat cannot be done by you alone. Today,
Obviously.
you entered a partnership with someone who awoke to the same power, did you not?
Sniff stick? Oh my god. Sneef snort? Oh my god. A partnership? We gon' kiss. We gon' kiss. Partnership?
Involving yourself with others is an important foundation for your recovery. You've done well.
I love him so much.
I am not advising
I'm gonna
the
keep saying that
formation
every
of
time I get to hear his
superficial
voice.
relationships. It must not be a frivolity, but a ring of those who would, by morals or faith, lend you their strength. In other words, they are bonds with those who have been robbed
God,
of their
the bloodshot
places
eyes,
to
though.
belong.
Sneef snort.
The expansion of said ring will, in return, help you mature as well.
Aww.
Personas are the strength of heart.
Justine!
The stronger the bonds that surround you, the more power your personas will gain.
This voice sounds very familiar. Whose voice is this?
There are countless people in the city who have talents that a weakling like you doesn't.
What the fuck?
You better rack that noggin of yours and get them on your side. We'll change that into power.
Oh boy. Confidants are people you trust to share a similar goal. You can find these people in places like school or around town. By forming bonds with people by visiting them multiple times, earning their trust, and proving your value. Once you've formed a bond, you can open the menu, triangle, and select confidant to check the strength of your relationships.
Indeed,
Okay.
you should be prepared to use even myself, or your ambitions will not come to fruition.
See, listen, it's good whenever you have friends that completely understand that they are both of use and actual friends.
We have a
Like this is
deal,
the guy,
then.
like when you have a deal maker, for the deal maker to also understand that he is very much a part of the deal and not in control of the deal. We love our boy with the big nose. We love Igor. Feels like he has high expectations of me. To beat her up because they're guards?
I am
Oh no,
thou.
that is not what I
Thou
meant.
art I. Thou hast acquired a new vow.
Oh? Did we
It
get
shall
Igor
become
as
the
a
wings of
confidant already?
rebellion that breaketh thy chains of captivity. With the birth of the full persona,
Oh no, this is
I
ours.
have obtained the winds of blessing that shall lead to freedom
Right?
and new power.
Because they're guards? That is not at all what I was saying, Impy. Come on, get your mind out the gutter. Wild Talk allows you to negotiate with shadows after performing a hold-up. Okay. Okay. Earn bonus experience when fusing personas based on their Arcana's Confidant rank.
All right.
Ability Wild Talk from Igor. Iconoblast Burst from Igor. Okay. People you formed a bond with have special confidant abilities. Confidant rank indicates strength of their trust with someone. As this rank increases, more of their confidant abilities will be unlocked. Jesus, there's so many ranks to them. Damn.
Well, you will understand it all in due time. Continue devoting yourself to your
Being little Eepy, it might take a nap. Get Joe sleep, Impy. Carrie Karanen. Karanen? I don't recognize the
Now this
name. I'm bad
conversation's
at
over.
actors' names,
Get
though.
lost, inmate.
They're so adorable. Hey, get lost. Oh, okay, I'll go back to sleep. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Wednesday.
How annoying. We've barely started high school and already they're making us play at a volleyball rally? And
God,
why
why
are they
is volleyball
pitting us
so
against the
important to
teacher
them?
team? Kamoshida's gonna crush us.
Oh, wait. I can put it on auto. Oh, wait, I have to click it one more time.
His technique live and in person, though. We should
Get some
totally
sleep,
get
my
spiked
internet
on.
friends. Well,
Yeah, okay.
yeah,
You're
Naked
gonna get your
Man.
face smashed in. Just look at how banged up the volleyball team is. What the hell goes on during their practices?
He just volleys the volleyball right off their face. God, what was that from? SpongeBob?
Okay, quiet down.
She's pretty neat, too. Volleyball rally. Enter the invitation once you've changed. Got it. Got it? Do I got it? Do I got it? Also, did y'all see that kid slouching in the front? Jesus. My man be slouching. Hi, an anime moment. Ah, fucking destroying them.
Nice toss. Yeah, man, you still got it, coach. Thanks. Let's go for one more.
He's got, I just realized, I don't know why. I only just noticed how big his nose is. How much space the nose takes up on his face. Oh, he's gonna eat it to the face, isn't he? Wait, is she on the team or is just everybody in the PE fit? Quiet on the apes. I know, I know what you teenagers really want. You should be ashamed of yourselves. Good lord. I'd still very much like to have subtitles during these animated moments. Jesus, sir. The glamour shots. Eat it. Yep, face. Face.
Sorry. Hey, are you all right? Someone, take him to the nurse's office.
Sir, you have the most muscle in the room. Not by much, but
He'll pay soon enough.
All right, let's resume the match.
who did he throw the ball at? Did nobody catch that ball that he just threw?
That asshole's acting like a king over here, too. Get to know
I will not
each
tolerate
other,
weakness in my PE
ass.
class.
It's just a one-man show for him to stroke his ego.
I mean,
And
definitely.
how he acted like he was worried about Mishima. Oh, what an abusive D-bag.
Look at who says D-bag, but these characters swear all the time.
Anyways, now's our chance to go look for the
Yeah,
guys we
Schrodinger's
saw were slaves
volleyball.
yesterday. Let's look for the faces we saw at the castle. All the members of the team should be here today. I'll be
Okay,
sure
so
to
we gotta
find
go
someone
wandering.
to spill about Kamoshida's physical abuse.
So it's also thinking about
Just
confidant. I wonder if I can talk to the
asshole.
teacher now, maybe? What are we searching?
The first one that popped out was a guy from Class D, so let's start from there.
Okay,
your
so Class D is a good
Hopefully you can
point
get
to
him
check.
to talk without any issues. People have been avoiding me lately, so... Oh, but you're kind of in the same boat, huh?
We're both criminals. It'll be fine. Hey, quick travel. Let's go. Bring up the map, quick travel, and select the location you want to travel to. R1? Oh, Ooh, okay. Oh, it's kind of neat. I like that. So, I kind of want to see if we can talk to the teacher first. He's not our classroom, right? Our classroom was... We're in the courtyard right now. So we'll just click classroom and see. Okay, maybe it's you. Are you wearing... Oh, you're not wearing a mask. You're wearing
Are you
bandages.
standing out on the volleyball rally? I guess I expected from you, Transfer.
Transfer.
That's the guy who was over at that castle.
Look like
too,
Kirkland
Sakano?
friend Terry Fox.
What
Terry
do you guys
Fox.
want?
Making the mother of all omelets here today. Can't spread over every egg.
Frog, you can't go beating up high schoolers. Come on, man. Come on, you gotta know better. Also, thank you for the cookie, Johnny.
What? What are you saying? No, of course not.
Sure.
Kamoshida, ain't it? Look, I ain't gonna tell anyone you squealed. Just tell us about how Kamoshida's abusing you.
Yeah.
talking
Ow,
about.
Johnny. Are you afraid?
Not. You guys are talking complete nonsense.
I have no idea what you're talking about. How could I possibly do
We
that?
already know.
You know. You have proof.
It's your face, dude. Your face is the proof.
This is ridiculous. Please leave me alone. You're really bothering me.
All right, that's enough. Come on, let's go.
Oh, do we get a
That
skip?
injury ain't normal, and he still won't fess up. Crap.
Say,
Keep
you
going
have
at this
evidence?
pace,
It's
the
you.
ball game's
You were the
gonna end.
evidence, sir. Let's split up.
Guess that'd be faster. I'll check the practice building for people before clubs start. You handle the classroom building. There's a
Okay.
third year on the volleyball team that I remember. I think he's in.
Weirdly enough, this
3C.
game
He was
also,
getting beat
when I
pretty
see like a
bad at the
Japanese
castle.
school, it makes me want
I
to
had
play
some
another
injuries
Japanese
here,
horror
too.
game that like takes
Anyways,
place in a
I'll hit
school.
you up if I
Just
find
because it's a
anything.
really
See
cool
ya.
environment. Mostly it makes me think of the Ghostwire Tokyo. What do you have to say? Suzui's been acting strangely lately. She's been sighing a lot. She used to be a lot happier when we were in first years, plus these bruises. I think she's in trouble. Trying to become a volleyball starter, isn't she? I heard she takes private lessons from Mr. Kamoshida every day. Apparently she's been a really good player ever since she was in middle school. Interesting that everybody's wearing... Okay. What are you doing? Newspaper? I really wish you would talk to me in wouldn't talk to me in such a public place. Would you rather talk in a private place? Really? With the guy who everybody thinks is a criminal? Gannon, did you just do a Grubhub ad in my chat with the fucking dumpies? Really? Grubhub perks give you deals on food that you love. The kind of deals that make you boogie. Really, Gannon? Really? Enjoy your lurk, Tintin. Thank you for swinging in. Tell me about volleyball. Why don't you ask Mishima-kun? He's in Class D with you, isn't he? To be honest, I've heard some rumors about him and Mr. Kamoshida. Don't ask me anymore, though. I don't want the teachers to see me associating with you. What the fuck? Alright, I think I could go find... What are y'all talking about? Just now I saw someone who was all bandaged up. I bet it was someone from the volleyball team. Even third years get worked hard. Okay, so that's probably going to be the third year on the first floor. Transfer student, what is it? I'm telling on you if you try to do something to me.